Hi everyone, welcome back to Magnitude 10 Comics YouTube channel. I'm Jeff, and in this video, I'm going to show my purchase of a particular collection, almost a complete run of the third volume of Silver Surfer. There was an initial publication of Silver Surfer comic books. These are quite expensive in the 1970s. Then there was kind of a false start with one issue, which is considered volume two in the Overstreet Guide. That was in 1982. And then the volume three that I'm going to show that I purchased started in 1987 and ran 160 something issues approximately, going from memory. This run went from issue 1 to issue 27 with some multiples. So obviously someone had, and in this case, the fellow that purchased me, I want to give a big, that contacted me, that I purchased the collection from. He said it was okay to use his name, Jabba, and he didn't want to be on film, so I have to respect that. He did allow me, and I showed him a little video just so you can get some context of how it looked at the time of purchase. And then after that, I'm going to show you the collection one by one. So if you're into Silver Surfer or into collecting, this video is for you. I'm a bit of a completionist, so an opportunity to purchase a complete run all at once. He wasn't attached, and it was something I didn't have, so it was a win-win for both of us. And it started with a text message. He sent me a text message of my flyer that I buy comics that he found at the Antique Mall, the booth at the Antique Mall. And we went from there. There were some text messages. We realized that we had both met before at a local comic shop. So it was just a great evening. Spent a couple hours. We got to talk about comic books, and exciting. He expressed some interest in participating in the Garage Con event here in Ashland, Missouri. So we look forward to getting together again. And in the meantime, let me go ahead and proceed. This next little video clip is intended to show you how the comics looked that I purchased. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm doing a little voiceover to respect his wish not to be on the video. This is what it looked like at the time of purchase. And here I did this little video before I left, and he was okay with it. So now I'm going to show you the collection after I've cleaned it up and rebagged it. I decided to keep everything in the little box it had that it came in. This was what the person that collected it had put this in there. So I thought that was pretty good, and it fit. I put everything in Mylar with acid-free bags. So these are archival bags, Mylar bags, for those of you that aren't familiar, that can go into storage for a very long time. And this was an example of an opportunity that I felt that I shouldn't pass on. Some of these are, so in 87, we're at 2025, that first issue is 38 years old already. And to find these in excellent condition, these are all very fine, near mint condition, without exception, which was pretty amazing. I didn't really have the time to look through them all carefully, and you might have noticed they were in different, some were bagged and boarded, some were in just bags. All of them were in at least a bag. None of them were completely unprotected. But as far as the condition, it wasn't possible there to kind of examine up close. So that's where you kind of start at a number, and then you work your way up. I looked in the book value and saw enough value that I was able to come up to his asking price for the collection. And overall, per book, it seemed very affordable. The extra copies I've taken and offered at the Antique Mall, which would help to defray the cost of this collection. And I'm going to keep this in storage for the time being, since it is complete. And it's as a completionist, it's nice to find a collection where every issue, sometimes you run into the fact that the key issues are missing. And so then, it's the completionist in you as a collector is like, oh, I don't have everything. I don't get to see the entire volume of work. And I'm still learning about Silver Surfer and the different artists that worked on it, the history of it. And that's part of the fun of it. I've already discovered, we'll see here, that some of the artists that I recognized were on this. And so let me see here. We'll kind of work forward. I'm going to take a chunk out at a time. And we'll go ahead and zoom in here to just see the comic books themselves. Okay. Adjust everything here. So that is the first issue, and the first issue does have a $35 mint book value, and so that alone, along with a few others that we'll see in the middle of the run, had more than a dollar or two book value. So this, in fact, all of them actually, their book value tended to be from $4 to $8. There's the first 3 issues. A lot of interesting kind of, this was kind of the style in the 80s, the trade dress even. This guy was looking a little different. But they look really sharp in the Mylar. This cover in particular, I thought was really nice. I don't know the artist in this period of the volume, and I look forward to studying and learning that a little bit more. We're up to issue 9. So not exactly, it's all Silver Surfer, so not random. They're all in order. We have Galactus starting to show up, and I think that one had a little bit more book value, probably because of the cover art. And the Silver Surfer is expected to show up in the movie this summer, so definitely looking forward to learning a little bit more. He's imbued with a cosmic power, kind of shanghaied away from his home planet by Galactus to be the herald of Galactus. So he goes ahead of Galactus and lets the planet know that Galactus is coming. Galactus is kind of, in the Marvel Universe, is kind of like a force that destroy, like Shiva in the Hindu religion is the destroyer of worlds. He has to consume worlds. And so a lot of interesting philosophy and alien science fiction around the Silver Surfer. Of course, that was part of Fantastic Four, is where the Silver Surfer appeared somewhere around, I think, issue 48 or so, maybe sooner. But that's when the big events first occurred with the Watcher and the Silver Surfer and Galactus, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Again, I'm still learning the history and the lore of the Marvel Universe, so by no means am I an expert. But when you have an opportunity This is Fire Lord, which is a character that also appeared in the Thor comic books. I think is where he first appeared. It really gets you excited to learn about the storyline, the characters, and to read this, I would probably look for some kind of trade paperback and not actually read these comic books. So this is a collection that I hope to preserve in this high quality, in this condition, this high grade condition, and just, keep it for decades, pass it on to my son, and then he can choose what he wants to do with it. So when you have that kind of chance, you can afford it and you can make such a purchase. That's what collecting is all about. Like I said, I knew enough to know that I valued it, but I look forward to learning more about it. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of power through this. I'm going to show 3 at a time. We're up to issue 31, 32. So the Silver Surfer himself and other characters, Doctor Doom in this case, start to show up and are featured. And now I believe this is one of the ones that booked higher because of Thanos and the storyline with Thanos in the middle of the series. These had some really high book values. One of them booked as high as $90 in mint. So once I saw that, I was able to see enough value in this collection to meet his asking price. And so, you go in with a certain number, minimum number, but then if you can find the value, that's what you're trying to do to work with someone and to meet their asking price for the collection. Doesn't always work out, but in this case it did, so that was a win-win, like I said. He's a Batman collector like me, so this was not a collection that he was attached to. In fact, I'm not sure if I had this right, but maybe it had belonged to someone else and he either purchased it or was selling it for someone else. But happy to have it. This is Mephisto. That particular one books a little higher. This one with the Warlock. So this section of the run had a little bit more higher book value, and then it went back to like somewhere in the $6 range, $6 to $8 range. This the issues like this, the 50th anniversary with the embossed, those have a little higher book value. It's just a thing that in collecting comic books, anniversary issues tend to have a little bit higher book value. Special issues like that. I'm going to go ahead and pause here just to keep this from being too long of a video segment, too large of a file. I'm going to reset for the next 50 issues. Okay, I just wanted to interject because there were several factual details that I threw out in that first segment. And just wanted to mention, I like Comic Book Realm. I'm not sponsored by them. This isn't an endorsement. It's just the site that I've discovered that I like for researching and learning about comic books. It has a lot of nice features. You might have a different site that you prefer, but let's go ahead and take a quick look. So here's Silver Surfer. It pulls up all the comic books that have the keyword Silver Surfer, which is a lot. because I know this is a volume that has a lot of issues. In fact, that was the largest run of Silver Surfer in the database. The 168 includes annuals. So if we go into the volume, we see the issues, followed by the annuals or specials are included. So there are about 9 annuals, and there's 2 pages here. So this is the equivalent of what would have been the before computers and the internet, the Overstreet price guide, which is actually still printed. You could purchase it. It's available, I think, digitally, but I like this site because it's a mashup. It has CGC data. It has eBay data. If you want to put your comic books on here and put them up for sale, I believe you can do that. I haven't done that. Um, so um, just to kind of point out, so the when I say the book value, this is what I mean here. So according to grade, that comic book is somewhere very fine or better. So it books at 29.75. They kind of break this down. I would just round up to $30. In mint condition, it's 35. A near mint, 9.4. So then you can see an image of the front cover, the publication date. You can see who did the work on the book, and in this case, it was Steve Englehart who was the writer for the first part of the Silver Surfer series, and then it switched to other creators. You can even click in and learn more about the creator, see their full um, uh, body of work, a glossary of all their work. So just a lot of nice features. Like I said, you can also say at some point, because this collection included extra volumes, I can see, I can click here and I can see what's been recent sales of graded comic books, what's currently on eBay. So there is one that's being offered at $39. Um, just a really wide range of. This one is not even that issue. So let's see, 132. So a wide range of prices. Um, so uh, there you go. Here's, like I mentioned, there were some duplicates. Here's the issue I showed earlier, number 34, was because of the resurrection of Thanos, and the biggest book value was the first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet occurred in issue number 44. Okay, so let's get back to the covers, and we'll finish with a few final thoughts. Okay, we got the next 50 or so issues in the run. We had gone through 51. Here at this point in the series, uh, contemporaneously, an Infinity Gauntlet was being published, and this was a crossover, which made sense. So we had 52, 53, 54 with Rhino, and the neat border there. 55 with Thanos, and he has the Infinity Gauntlet. So these were crossovers with the Infinity Gauntlet event at this point. And I'm not sure if it was crucial to the storyline, but so at this period of time, when you would go and you would purchase comic books, you would go to a store. These were all direct edition, and you would probably be purchasing Silver Surfer and the Infinity Gauntlet at the same time, each issue as it came out. So lots of crossover in the storyline up through issue 59. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is that I did start to notice earlier there's a big run of artwork by Ron Lim, Lim. And this artist, it was kind of interesting to see that, because the other place where I've seen Ron Lim's art was on Captain America. There's another video I did in the Goodreads video on the Streets of Poison series, and Ron Lim was the artist on those issues of Captain America. So you start to recognize their art. I was more of a reader, so for me, like, I can't really explain, but it is true that you start to recognize an artist. They're just little fine details of how they draw things that you can recognize that it's the same artist. And then, of course, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that he has his name on the cover. And then in the book, the Overstreet guidebooks, when you look at the databases, you see who the creators were. And Ron Lim did a lot of art on this series, going back to like issue 40 or even earlier, and he's still the artist. So kind of the resident artist on Silver Surfer at this point. Here we have Captain Marvel showing up. This is some kind of, special issue. And there was a storyline where he was stolen away from his significant other. They were aliens, so I'm not sure if they had our equivalent of marriage or but that was his wife. And now the Infinity War series is taking place, so we have another crossover with the Infinity War, which that's what's kind of interesting about comic book collecting. Then you start to see how the publishing house weave these stories together, weave these publications together. So you had this ongoing title of Silver Surfer and these special mini-series that tied in with them. So then there's a storyline, the Herald Ordeal, which ran for 6 issues. And now another special anniversary, 75th anniversary, and it was also part 6 of the Herald Ordeal. Jack of Hearts made a cameo appearance, or appeared in a couple issues here, which he was kind of an interesting character. He never had his own title as far as I know. I've seen a mini series, and now this is the second time I've seen that character in the Marvel Comics. So again, what I would like to do, since I'm not familiar with Silver Surfer, is find some of this in a trade paperback to read. I don't want to read these comic books because I wish to kind of keep them in excellent shape. So Fire Lord again. And now the Infinity Crusade, which was kind of, so there was Infinity War, Gauntlet, Infinity War, and Infinity Crusade. Those were 3 different miniseries that took place in the 1990s. And a lot of that went into the movie, the Avengers movie, Endgame, that 2-part blockbuster movie. Now there is a point, and I'm not sure exactly where it's at, where George Perez does a stint for about a year and does the writing on this title. I'm a George Perez fan, and so that was kind of interesting to see that he was on this title. I'm going to keep moving through these. Hopefully you're getting a chance to enjoy the covers. 97, 98. So we got, this must be a different artist at this point, it strikes me. And then there's your special 100th anniversary issue. Okay, I'm gonna finish with one more segment with the rest of the collection. Okay, and just finishing out the final portion of the run. It wasn't the entire volume, but it was consecutive issues 1 through issue 127 with duplicates of the first few issues and some of the key issues. So we have 101, 102, a little bit different style at this point, 103, 104, 105, 106. They tend to move the issue is number is down here in the barcode. 107. So appearance with Dr. Doom that ran several issues. Galactus. Not sure what that's about. Okay, this is where George Perez started on the series. So they have it first issue, and he did about a year's worth, about 13 issues. So there's Perez. And he got involved with some of the artwork as well, as a colorist or inker. This Grinberg was still the penciler, as far as I've learned so far. And again, that's part of the fun of it, that you can discover and enjoy a collection like this. Not super expensive. Like I said, the original Silver Surfer from the 70s can be thousands of dollars in mint condition. So for much less, I have this volume, this collection, and I can enjoy these comic books for a fraction of the cost of one of the originals. Now, if I'm really lucky and get to own one of the original Silver Surfer comics, that would be great. But as someone new to Silver Surfer, this is a good kind of gateway entry point to so in the 120, so every 25 issues they did a special anniversary issue, and then here was the final issue in the collection, 127. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the covers, and let me switch back with some final thoughts. Okay, to wrap up this video, we took a look at the first 127 issues of Volume 3 of Silver Surfer from 1987, Marvel Comics. We talked about collecting comic books along the way, and I mentioned this is not an endorsement, I'm not sponsored, but I've been asked before. So these are what are called Mylar comic bags. They're a little thicker as a bonus. They're shiny, so that it makes the comic book look nice and bright and shiny. And that's compared to an ordinary polypropylene bag. These are more archival grade, so that if you put your comic books in Mylar, you don't have to worry about degradation from the environment, and you can let them sit for a longer period of time. So those are Mylars. And just to finish one more time, I'd like to thank Jabba for reaching out to me and making this possible. And I do hope that you participate in the fall Garage Con here in Ashland, Missouri. It'll be great to have other collectors besides myself participate in that event. And that'll be this fall. The extra issues I mentioned are available at the Magnitude 10 booth at Midway Antique Mall here in Columbia, Missouri. Until next time, this has been Jeff, Magnitude 10 Comics, Magnitude 10 YouTube. Thank you and enjoy your comics. We'll catch